The second one, I used to ask people, what, go back and think about one moment in your life where you really felt engaged. It could have been when you were working, or when you were doing a hobby, or when you were with someone, but one moment where you really felt engaged. Now you might have had 10 of these moments, but pick out one that just particularly stands out for you now. So this is what I say to people. When I went through this exercise myself, I remembered a time when I was little, and it was before I got my dog. I used to like to hike, and I particularly was a fence climber. You can see I was a tomboy, and I scaled this fence that says no trespassing, and I went down. And I always wanted to see what was beyond the fence, and it had, you know, kind of like a little ledge, and then you go down, and so I went down, and then there were these chickens and a goat and all this exciting stuff, which was like. And so I began to do this every day after school. And, you know, occasionally I'd hear something and I'd hide, and there'd be these big feet that would walk by, clump, clump, clump. But I was always, you know, hid enough. I was small enough. And then one day I was, you know, playing with the chickens, and then all of a sudden this thing came crashing into my back, and I went splat. And then I tried to get up, and boom, hit my back again. And it was the ram, the male goat, that was butting me. And then there was another hill, and then there was the concrete porch of the house. He butted me all the way down the hill onto the concrete, and then stood over me, you know, and I'm a little kid, and this is a big ram. You know, and I'm crying and screaming, and I just thought, you know, that my life was going to be over. And then the mother of the household came running out, and, you know, she grabs this, I'm thinking she's like superpower, you know, she grabs this ram by the horns, and, you know, takes him away, and then comes back, and then she starts talking to me about what I'm doing there. And then I admitted that I had been coming and taking care of her chickens. And so they gave me some volunteer farm duties. And I became really involved with this family, and they were kind of like a second home for me for a long time, where I took care of the chickens. And what was significant about that? Why was it so salient? Well, it was this feeling of being part of the growth of these animals. You know, like the hens laying eggs right into my hand, you know. I mean, probably I was bugging them, right? But anyway, it was, you know, and that was a time of real engagement, and that, for some reason, had the same feeling as when I was really helping the people in that corporation that had lost their jobs. And I had that same experience as when I was helping people find new positions in the company. And then I began to put it together that this is really important for me, to be into something where I really am participating in someone else's growth. And then I made the connection, you know, Masters in Counseling, I guess I could do this. And then now I really enjoy teaching for that reason. I love advising my students. So you see how the exercise can work? It doesn't happen that automatically. It took me years to make those connections. So can you think of anything that was a time where you felt really engaged? The idea behind this exercise is that through these experiences, you can often find these kind of core goals. So that people have, and, you know, this is back to the 4 or 5 core goals that we sort of carry with us through our lives. There is an assessment that we can do during the course that I'll be telling you about, that you can do to figure out what they are for you. But it seems to determine when we're going to feel happiness or frustration. Right? So when I'm really feeling like I'm participating in someone's growth, I'm really feeling satisfied and excited, right? Or you're really feeling, you know, if you're in that position where you're feeling engaged and involved, you know, then that can really provide, you know, satisfaction. But I'm just going to argue that if you're in a situation that where, I'm just guessing that if you were in a situation where you just couldn't get engaged, you're constantly interrupted or something is not allowing that to happen, it might be frustrating. Maybe?
Mm. Yeah.
And so for me, if I'm working with a student and actually what I'm doing seems to be leading to distress, I'm a mess. I can't, you know, that's really hard for me. I mean, that's when I'll hit my low. You know, and so that becomes, so you see how that it becomes like a fundamental determinant of when I'm feeling a sense of happiness or not. And so you can kind of figure out what these are, and you can help your clients figure out what they are. And that'll help them. So that becomes a decision criteria, right? So when you are thinking between this job and this, you know, do you want to work at Starbucks or do you want to work at this department store? Which one is going to allow you to meet one or two of these core goals? And which one has less of a chance of doing that? In my case, I would choose the one that at least helped me meet one. Otherwise, I know I'm really going to be frustrated. And so that, so this exercise helps a client really start to have a sense of continuity in their career, makes a continuity out of the chaos, and then the core goals is a way of starting to give them a decision criteria to go forward rather than the list of pros and cons, because, you know, boy, that gets hard, how to weigh a pro